Let's begin with a word of prayer. Father, thank you for bringing us all safely here tonight through the weather, and pray that you would be with us during this time, that we would make decisions that are wise and in alignment with your will. It's in your name we pray. Amen. We'll stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'll now call to order the special meeting of September 12th, 2024. Do we have any citizens joining us? I don't think so, so we'll skip that part. Our first agenda item is to review the 2024-2025 proposed millage rollback rate calculation and the 2024-2025 tentative budget for all funds. So Dr. Gutko, the floor is yours.
Hi, good afternoon, evening. Yeah. Oh, hold on. No music and no dancing. You notice that? What was that, 7 years ago I did that? Okay. This afternoon, we are here for the final steps in our TRIM approval for the 24-25 school year. It's going to be a simple and short presentation. So if you do have questions, please, of course, by all means, just reach out. Okay, so here we begin. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the Truth in Millage calendar. It's a shorter version of it, and I just wanted to go over just the key dates that you will all recall. The July 23rd, where we brought the tentative budget to you, and that was a large document that you do have. And a lot of the information that's in that booklet is really condensed in the one that you have right now. So if there's any questions regarding any of these, please refer back to the original tentative budget. But as you recall, you all received a document similar to this, right? So that's the first part of it. The second part was really that once that was done, the idea was for you to approve the advertisement of the budget. And of course, I brought the newspaper here. This year, we decided to go ahead and still advertise in the newspaper. And of course, there you go. It's in the newspaper. Be a model. Okay. All right. And then we had the first public hearing, which was a shorter version of the tentative budget. And you do have that booklet as well. And here we are at the final phase of the TRIM process, which is where you would approve the final millage rates and the final budget, or final budget for the beginning of the start of 24-25 school year. Okay? How does this thing work? All right. Not enough room. Okay, this, of course, you are familiar with this chart. It represents the historical millage for the last 13 years. And you can see how the millage rate has gone down significantly from 7.821 in 2012-13 to now it's 6.234. And really, the part that's really impactful is the state millage rate, where they set the millage rate for the school districts across our state. You can notice that it went from 5.323 to 2.983. So it's a significant drop to our state millage rates. All right, so I'm going to continue to move on. I'm just going to, okay. All right, so here I am with the rollback rate. We need to talk about it. What is the rollback rate? Again, it is the value of last year's millage rates to the current year's millage rate, and using that last year's millage rate, you generate the same amount of dollars that you generated last year. So with that being said, you can see our rollback rate is 6.140, and it would generate about 122,804,804. As you notice, it's actually almost the same as last year's collections, this 122,804,804. It's, there's rounding, so I did put all those numbers together. And this year, we will generate 127,709,413. That represents 100% of our millage. There is, the statute requires that school districts only budget up to 96%. So we're not budgeting all of the millage rate. And the reason for that is that there are, at the end of the year, there are areas where not everyone pays their taxes. So therefore, there's taking into consideration the chance that we may not generate all of it. So we want to make sure our budget is within what we can afford. Okay. Did that change? Yes. Okay, so in summary, proposed millage levy for the 24-25 school year, required local effort is 2.986. It would generate 61,171,047. Basic discretionary, 0.748, has always been the same millage. It's going to generate 15,323,491. Capital outlay, 1.5 mil, is going to generate about 30,728,925. Our additional voted millage, 1.00, the 1 mil, will generate 20,485,950. That gives us a total millage of 6.234, and it will generate 127,709,413. Okay. All right. So I did say to you all that the millage rate did go down, right? And you want to know, well, I'm sure you all received your tax bill this year, and it did not stay the same, or it was not reduced, right? Or maybe it was, I believe. What does that mean? Why did your tax go up or increase? If it did. I'm not sure. I'm not I know mine did when I got my bill. So anyway, so with that being said, scenario 1 represents if your property value stayed the same. If it stayed the same at the $280,000 home, and we apply the millage rate, it would be a difference of 2.65. You would actually have a decrease in your taxes in the amount of $43.35. So looking at this scenario, and then we'll go to the next scenario. Okay. Assume now that your property did increase by $8,400, right? You apply the current millage rate as opposed to last year's millage rate, and you can see you have an increase of $9.01. I apologize for that. The line shouldn't be there, but on your presentation, you should be able to see it a little clearly. But you'll have an increase of $9.01. So based on your property value, your annual tax would increase. And depending on that change in the value, that is the value. Once you apply the millage rate, that is the difference from what you paid last year to what you will pay this year. Okay? All right, so this slide just represents our property values for the last several years. Just wanted to let you know, as you can see, our property values kept going up. So it wasn't that the millage rates went down, but property values went up. So that's why you see the huge change, especially in 22-23, where it went from 21-22 6.46 to the 15%. That was a huge increase in our property values. And then it continued, but then, of course, from last year to this year, it actually dropped from the 15.83 to 6.83. But it was still an increase, okay? Okay, again, our total budget, we'll get into our budget now. So our total budget is for 24-25 is $683,555,870. And you can see here the differences in the different funds that we do operate under. We have the general operating fund, which is the largest fund. It's $453,893,374. That fund represents everything that we do. If another fund cannot take care of it, guess what? General fund picks up all the cost of it. You have your special revenue fund, and that's about $75,539,887. Special revenue includes our food service program. It also includes all our special revenue programs like Title I, Title II, those types of special grants and projects. And then you have this year, there's a slight change in our original budget that I presented to you and to this budget. And you'll see that big difference in the summary as we get closer to the end of the presentation. One of our GASB rules requires us now to report on the internal accounts that is at the schools. We now have to represent it in our financial statements from a school board perspective. So therefore, that value came into me after we presented the tentative budget. So I am now presenting it to you. So. Our debt service, of course, you know, we went out for that last COPS issue, and it is actually less even from last year, which was a good deal that we did, you know, the refinancing and, of course, the additional funding to expand our junior highs. It's 6,995,165. Our capital project fund is 147,127,444. Now that includes our sales tax funds and our LCIF and any other COND funds that we do get in. Okay, so our total budget is $683,555,870. All right. The next couple of slides are just really visuals of our different revenues and expenditures. So this is our general fund revenue. What I'd like to show you there is that, as I stated in our original tentative budget, in order for us to participate in the FEFP, we've got to generate the required local effort funds. So you can see that the state funding is a larger percentage of our total budget. So in order for us to generate those funds, we've got to set the millage of what we're doing tonight to finalize the millage, the local millage, okay? Now, this is our general fund appropriations, and you can you're familiar with this slide where it represents the different areas that we do spend our general fund dollars. And you can see that the highest percentage is actually where we are focusing on our direct instructions. So direct instructions is the higher amount. Of course, the second highest is really, you can see, is the instructional support. And those are the areas that fall under the instructional support. You've got direct support and you've got school support. Okay, now we're getting into the general special revenue fund. Okay, special revenue represents the federal funds, as I said earlier. And it is comprised of not only food service, but we have grants and projects. And I did give you all an example of what those projects, it's the ESSA grant, and as you all know, this is the last year of ESSA grant. It will cease to exist in September 30th of 2024. which is great because now we will now get into reporting, and then hopefully by September of 2025, we won't hear of it. So, all right. Anyway, it was good. And I gave you examples of the ESSER grant, the Title I, Title II, Title III, IDEA, and the initial booklet, tentative budget, does have the individual grants and the values. Now, keep in mind, throughout the school year, I do bring you budget amendments that represents any sort of changes that happen within all of these funds, most especially with the federal funds, because a lot of these funds right now in federal, we are still awaiting approval letters from the state. We needed to apply, and then they will send us the award notification, and that's when we recognize it in our budget. All right. So, and of course, another feature that I need to tell you about the special revenue funds is that we cannot maintain a fund balance. This is just the 420 and the ESSA funds. But you do see there is a fund balance there. That fund balance represents our food service and also our internal accounts. What I should have also said to you all is that because GASB requires us to record the internal accounts on our financial statements as well as our budget, the decision amongst finance officers across the state, because this was something new from GASB, we decided that we will account for it in our fund 420. So it's actually 490. It's actually in federal funds. So that is where you will see the internal accounts. And that's what that fund balance represents as well. Okay? Okay, now we're in debt service. Debt service is simple. Like I said, we had a total budget of $6,995,165 with the proposed ending balance of $500,000. These funds are support here to pay for our annual payment of our outstanding bond for Clay. And one of the things you'll see, of course, even though it's 6,995, keep in mind the revenue that we utilize to support our bonds is a transfer from capital outlay, from the LCIF or the sales tax or the sales tax. Yes, those two. So, okay. Capital revenue, as you can see here, this is the total revenue. The majority of those funds are coming from local funds. You can see the big pie chart there where it shows 96% is coming from the local dollars, and the rest of it is coming from the state. That 4% is our CONDS funds that the state holds for us, and they provide us with some funds. Also from there, it represents the charter school distribution of capital funds. So, and you can see how we're spending those funds, and the categories are on the right. So, and again, this is all described in the tentative budget to more detail. Okay. All right. This is that advertisement that was in the newspaper. What I tried to do here is show you not a comparison, but update the budget from when we actually advertised it to what it looks like right now. So you can see that all of the funds actually went up. You know, there were increases, and those increases I'll go over in a few minutes. But you can see the original budget was about $660 million. That includes all funds. And then now it is $683,555,870, but that includes our fund balance. So keep that in mind as well. Okay. So here you go. This is the differences of what happened from our tentative budget to our final budget that I'm presenting to you now. So let's talk about the general fund. You can see the initial budget was about $452,519,486. and it went to 453, 893, 374. There was a slight increase, and you can see right under there, it tells you what those increases are, what it represents. If you'd like a detailed version of this, of course, by all means, please call me. I'll be happy to go into detail about it. But a lot of it was dependent on our final fund balance. Where did we end up last year? We were still paying bills. We were still trying to close our school year. So when I did the tentative, it was just an estimate. And then now we have finally closed our books, and this is the result of the end of our closing. So we had encumbrances, we had revenue adjustments. Remember, I told you in September 17th, no, 19th, not September, August 19th, the state releases the final millage, the certified millage. So a lot of those things were adjusted, and that's what happened. And of course, you've got roll forward. Any of our grants, our projects that we needed to roll forward, once we paid all the bills, that's when we knew exactly what our final numbers were. So special revenue, as I indicated, you noticed it went from $52,711,825 to now $75,539,887. The reason for that huge increase is because we ended up adding the internal accounts. The internal accounts at all the schools, this is combined from every one of the schools. This is the pot of money that is sitting at those schools. It's about $13.5 million. So it's, so that's why the change and the increase. Our debt service, of course, you can see it went from $6,996,246 to $6,995,165. Not a huge difference, but at least it's a little savings for us. So, and of course, our capital projects, it's $148,661,165, and it did go down slightly, but that is because we were trying to close out the end of the year. There were encumbrances, there were different things, and like I said before, as we go through this year, this budget will definitely increase. And hopefully with our counts, it will also increase. October and February is going to be great months. So you can see our tentative budget started off at $660,888,722. There was an increase overall of $22,667,148, and leaving us with a starting final budget for 24-25 of $683,555,870. Okay, and finally, I think it's our final. Yes. No, it's not. But our fund balance for our general fund, I know that's the most important, because if any emergencies happen or if there's any critical situations that we have to rely on some additional funds that's not set aside for specifics, we ended right now, but it's unaudited. We ended our fund balance at about 4.72. It's a little increase from what I actually projected for last year when I did the same presentation. So it's a good sign. We're going in the right direction. And of course, I am shooting for the stars for a 5% for next year, ending June 30th, 2025, but we shall see. Okay, now we are at the final stages of all of this. So what's next? Next, we are going to open, of course, the board will open and close the floor for the public hearing. Once that's done, I'm hoping that you all will adopt the final millage and approve the final budget. There are several documents that we need signatures and approvals on. Approval of the final resolution, which is determining the revenues and the millage that we are levying. And we are going to approve the final resolution for adopting our final budget. And then once this is all done, I will certify it with our Department of Revenue. I will notify the Tax Assessment Office, and I will transmit the final documents that the Department of Education requires. And with that, I will end my presentation. Oh, and by the way, you all do have a copy of the ESC 139. If you're wondering what that is the transmission that I sent to the Department of Education, which I have already done and have accepted it. So I just wanted, to let you all know.
Thank you, Dr. Legutko. Any questions? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we'll also go ahead and have our presentation from Ms. Bryce Ellis on our educational facilities plan, and that way we can just vote. Oh, sorry, Mr. Lance Addison will be presenting.
My hair, oh my goodness, I didn't know. Good evening, Superintendent, board members, can you hear me? Board members, good evening. You're going to Ms. Skipper. I got you, Ms. Skipper, I got you. Final EFP, this is what changes between between tentative and final. So we'll go over those few little changes. Okay, so what changed from tentative to final? We're going to go over a couple of things. I'll show you a couple of tables. Table 3.1.2 in EFP and the highlighted changes. Our carryover projects, some were completed, so those are carryovers from the previous year, and project budget increases and or adjustments, and our added projects. And we added a few projects for CTE grants. If you look down at the bottom on the 2024-2025 at CTE grant, though that is the only change to our income. So that is that's it. That's all we've changed. These are our obligations. I don't believe anything has changed in our obligations, but we wanted to go ahead and put that up there so you see what we're spending our money on. What projects did we add? For Fleming Island High School, we added a lab for nursing for this year. From CTE, Fleming Island High School, Building Trades, the new building. From CTE, we talked to Ms. Polk, and she agreed to fund all of this. Middleburg High School, Early Childhood Education Playground. Orange Park High School, a manufacturing technology upgrade. And Ridgeview High School, health sciences renovation of their rooms. So Ms. Polk, we got together and we went through her priorities, and she provided the funding, and we're going to get moving on all of this. Shall I drop the mic, Ms. Skipper? Do we have any questions? No, that's all. Do we have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Addison. Appreciate it. All right, so now, yeah, Ms. Skipper.
I love PowerPoints like that. To the point.
I just heard her say she loves PowerPoints. No. That's all I heard, yeah.
All right, so the next item on our agenda is to open the public hearing for comments on the 2024-2025 budget and millages. I'll now open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak can approach the podium. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board. Let's start with the first motion, and that is to adopt the 2024-2025 required local effort millage levy.
I move that the Clay County School Board adopt the 2024-2025 final proposed required local effort millage levy of 2.9890 with a proposed amount to be raised of $61,171,047. The RLE millage includes basic RLE of 2.986 and a prior period adjustment millage of 0.003.
Do I have a second? A motion from Ms. Bola and a second from Ms. Skipper. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. And I forgot to state earlier for the record that Ms. Hanson is not with us tonight. Now entertain a motion to adopt the 2024-2025 base discretionary operating millage levy.
So, sorry.
Go ahead.
Miss Bonnie, are you clicking for us? Okay, sorry. Okay, I won't worry about that then. Okay. I move a motion that the Clay County School Board adopt the 2024-2025 final proposed base discretionary millage of .748 with a proposed amount to be raised of $15,323,491.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion from Ms. Skipper, second from Ms. Clark. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. I will now entertain a motion to adopt the 2024-2025 local capital improvement fund millage levy.
I move that the Clay County School Board adopt the 2024-2025 final proposed capital outlay millage of 1.5 with a proposed amount to be raised of $30,728,925.
A motion from Ms. Clark. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Ms. Bola. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. I'll now entertain a motion to adopt the 2024-2025 additional voted operating millage levy.
I move that the Clay County School Board adopt the 2024-2025 final proposed voted millage of 1.0 with a proposed amount to be raised of $20,485,950.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Motion from Ms. Bola, second from Ms. Skipper. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. I'll now entertain a motion to adopt the 2024-2025 total millage levy.
I move that the Clay County School Board adopt the 2024-2025 final proposed total millage that will equal 6.234 with a total amount to be raised of $127,709,413. The total millage rate to be levied is more than the rollback rate by 1.54%.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion from Ms. Skipper, second from Ms. Clark. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. I'll now entertain a motion to adopt the budget for all funds for 2024-2025.
I move that the Clay County School Board adopt the final budget for the 2024-2025 school year as follows. General operating in the amount of $453,893,374. Special revenue budget in the amount of $75,539,887. Debt service budget in the amount of $6,995,165. Capital outlay budget in the amount of $147,441 for a total final budget of $683,555,870.
I have a motion from Ms. Clark. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
A second from Ms. Bola. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. I'll now entertain a motion on the Resolution 25-04, the Florida Department of Education Resolution determining revenues and millages levied.
I move that the Clay County School Board approve Resolution Number 25-04, determining the 2024-2025 final revenues and millages levied for fiscal year 2024-2025.
A motion from Ms. Bola. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second from Ms. Skipper. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. I'll now entertain a motion on the Resolution 25-05, adopting the 2024-2025 final budget.
I move that the Clay County School Board approve number 25-05, adopting the final 2024-2025 budget.
I have a motion from Ms. Skipper. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second from Ms. Clark. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. The The next item on our agenda is the final 2024-2025 through 2028-2029 Educational Facilities Plan. Do I have a motion?
I move approval.
Ms. Bola moves approval. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Ms. Clark. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Moving right along. Item number 12, Lakeside Elementary School Kitchen Renovation Contract Award. Do I have a motion?
I move approval.
Motion for approval from Ms. Bola. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Ms. Skipper. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. All right, presentations from the audience. We have none. Superintendent comments, Mr. Broski?
None.
All right, school board attorney comments, Mr. Blocker? All right, anything from the board? All right.
I
this
think
meeting-
we made history.
I'm saying that was quick. This meeting's adjourned.
We should have said, well done, Dr.